Iconology and Iconological analysis. This piece is called The Last Supper. It is designed by Bernard van Orley and is woven by Peter de Panmaker. It is a tapestry and is made out of wool, silk, and silver gilt thread, and it was made in now Netherlands 1525 to 1528. It is influenced by the Italian era of art and is also influenced by Martin Luther's 91 Theses, which caused the Reformation of the Catholic faith. This piece consists of 14 men around a table eating bread and wine. Each man has a circular figure around their head except for the server with the wine and the man in the right corner. The main subject is the man in the middle with the largest and brightest circular figure around his head, and he is hugging a distraught man. The secondary subjects of this piece are the other men who are also in distraught. The background is Italy, and this is seen through famous Italy buildings. This piece depicts the Last Supper with Jesus and his disciples. In the scene, Jesus has just told the disciples that one of them is going to betray him and that he is going to die. Halos help depict who is who in this piece. Halos in the Christian faith are used for saints and for Jesus. For instance, the largest and brightest halo is around Jesus, and the other halos also help distinguish who the disciples are and who are saints. There are two people in this piece who do not have halos, and that is the server, who is not a disciple, and Judas, who is a disciple but is not a saint because he betrayed Jesus. To identify Judas, there are two symbols. One is the money bag. In the story of Judas, he betrays Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, and which causes Jesus to die. The other symbol is the hand. In the scene, Jesus does not say who the betrayer will be, but he reaches his hand out to Judas. To distinguish who is a disciple and who is not, you have to look at their feet. Disciples usually do not wear shoes, while other people in the scenes do. Another person who is easily distinguished in this piece is John. John is the most beloved disciple by Jesus. John is leaning on Jesus as he announced that there will be a betrayer and that Jesus will die. In the Last Supper, it is common to see John laying on Jesus because John never left Jesus' side. Other common symbols in the Last Supper are bread and wine. In the Last Supper, Jesus blesses the bread and wine and feeds it to the disciples, saying that this is now my body and blood. In this particular piece, you can also see that this is from the Protestant view. As in the Catholic faith, in the Last Supper, there is usually some sort of lamb, as lamb is sacrificed in the Last Supper. Clothing also distinguishes who is who in this art piece. Red and blue signify the disciples. Green signifies the server. The server is also wearing much more lavish clothes and much more clothes in general. And yellow and orange signifies Judas. Judas is always usually accompanied with yellow. That is the color that he symbolizes. One art piece that I chose to compare is also called The Last Supper. In this piece, the same scene is going on, and there are many similarities between the one I chose and this one. For instance, John leaning on Jesus, Jesus having no shoes on, wine and bread on the table, Judas not having a halo around him, and all the disciples look very distraught. Though in this one, this is from the Catholic faith, as there is some lamb on the table. Another piece I chose to compare is also The Last Supper. In this one, it is very similar to the tapestry I have, almost identical. The only difference is in where the people are placed and in the background, as the background looks more country, unlike the one I chose, which has buildings of Italy. These pieces also all show the same scene of the Last Supper in the same way. But the one I chose, there's one big difference shown, and that is the server. As you see, the server is pouring wine under the table out of the eyesight of Jesus. During this time, Martin Luther posted 91 Theses, which are basically wrongs on the church. Martin Luther's influence in this piece comes from him revealing the truth of the Catholic Church selling indulgences, which are basically remissions of sins. This started the Reformation of the Church, which led to the creation of other denominations and another religion called the Protestant religion. This server displayed greed and secrecy. From his lavish clothing to his overpouring the wine, and finally to his secrecy of serving the wine at the table. This piece replicates the same exact scene that has been replicated over time, but puts political movement of its time through an added character and its acts.